Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, it's Films and Stuff. How are you today?
I am great, Ethan. How are you?
Oh man, I am bouncing. And the reason I am bouncing is because we had our watch party last night. Season finale of Amazon's The Peripheral. And I think you and I have both bottled up a lot of stuff that we want to talk about.
Let's just get on with it. What did you think of the show? Overall, this came out of nowhere for me. In fact, the only reason I even heard about this show was I think you found a trailer for it when we had talked a couple of months ago about trailers of shows. I had never even heard of this property.
Same. It came out of nowhere, and except for Chloe Grace Moretz, she's really the only person that I can identify, even though a lot of other people seem familiar to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a very pleasant surprise on Amazon, and in stark contrast to Rings of Power, this came across with relatively little fanfare. Even though it's based on a novel, even though there's some very, very good people behind it. But I have to say, I really, really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Sad to see season 1 end.
I would agree, but it's not about it being sad that it ended. The show also gave up a lot of information. And this is probably because, the writers want to make sure that I don't know how many books it is. I don't know if it's just one book that they're expanding into multiple seasons or if it's multiple books and multiple seasons. But I think we needed the break to really understand, because the show has been particularly good about world building, but it has not been very good about explaining what we're seeing on screen.
Yeah, I have to say, again, we're just doing general overview. I do like this show quite a bit. I do have a few little nits to pick on it, and you hit one of them on the head, which is it's kind of making up rules as it goes, which is okay. It is a creative medium, but I feel like whenever we kind of hit this, decision point by a character, they come up with something to kind of explain it away. And the world building is super cool. I love the concept, but there's a few little ideas that they've woven in that I'm not sure I'm really understanding, or if I'm not sure if I'm overthinking it and it's just supposed to be, hey, just go with it and enjoy the ride that we're taking you on.
Yes, I fully agree. I think it's also a function of the writer saying we want to leave things. We don't want to explain everything now because we want to kind of slowly unveil things over the course. And that's absolutely fine. For example, let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it.
At the end of episode 8, we learn that Flynn creates a second stub, arranges or orchestrates her own death in the current stub, thereby eliminating the need for the research institute to accelerate the jackpot in that stub. So effectively, she sacrifices her life in that stub to save everybody else in that stub.
I'm not sure. I have to say, I've been thinking about this long and hard, in an unhealthy way, but first of all, there's multiple stubs that are already opened. We really don't know how many. And that's the first unknown, is that It seems as though there's multiple stubs. We're not really sure if some of this I take from Back to the Future and some of this I take from Loki, actually, with the TVA? What's the TVA
the TVA,
called?
That's exactly it.
Right.
The Time Variance Authority.
Yeah. I'm not sure if when they say stub, they mean a branch, and there's people going off and doing something in this altered timeline, or if they mean it's kind of like a shortcut's not the right word, but if you think about driving around a pothole, you get back onto the road and you continue as though you just swerve to avoid that pothole. So I'm not really clear what's happening, if they're just swerving or there's all these now parallel worlds that they're creating. But for me, it seems as though there's multiple different stubs going on at the same time, because we know that Lev in one episode told Wilf that he killed all the other Levs, right?
Or at the very least, and maybe we are reading into that, but at the very least, he would prefer to kill the other Levs because he wants to be the only Lev alive. In any, and let's not beat around the bush. We keep talking about stubs. This is the multiverse. This
It
is
is the
something.
multiverse, yeah.
The Research Institute has the ability to access that multiverse and different universes from their own, what they call the primary, or what I'm calling the primary timeline, which is where they are.
I love what you call the primary timeline, but important point that I just picked up on as well. It's not only the Research Institute that has the ability to create stubs, because apparently Lev, or the Klep, has been creating stubs as well, right?
Yeah, I'm not. So this is where things get a little dicey with this triumvirate, right?
Yeah.
Where we have, on one side, we have the Research Institute. On the other side, we have the Kleps. And then on the third side, we have the Metropolitan Police,
Right.
as in the people of power.
Right.
We know that there is a fourth group that wants to be in power, which is the Neoprims, which I guess Alita is now a part of. Their idea is, hey, we want to go back to like the primitive times. We don't want all this tech and we don't want all this like abilities. So that for me is the weakest of the elements at the moment. This Alita storyline, I think they've purposefully kept it vague.
Can we pull apart on that? Because I agree with you. I agree it's very weak because so there's been Jackpot, right? Which is some type of apocalypse.
Yep.
And they're living in this post-apocalyptic world where it doesn't seem terrible, but definitely they have inserted like some augmented, like an AI or something, so that the world seems like a little bit more normal and pretty and clean and orderly, right? And the Neoprims are saying, hey, we live here. There was the Jackpot. We should just embrace what the dirty, filthy environment looks like. We don't want any tech. So we're going to steal all this stuff and we want to bring the system down.
Or bring the system down, whatever it is. And to be honest, that's all speculation. I think the point we're trying to make is that we don't know what the end game for the Neoprims are. We know what their motivations are, but we don't know how they want to achieve what they want to achieve.
Why do you think they just can't like go live in the woods?
Well, exactly.
Why are they trying to bring down everybody else?
I mean, they seem to me like they want to be this future's version of like an Amish style community, which is like, we want to avoid tech or we want to do all that. I was like, yeah, okay, well then do it. Go to the Cotswolds, go to the, we're talking, because this is set in the UK, the prime timeline, a lot of it is in the UK. It's like, okay, go to the middle of nowhere. Set up your own town, set up your own village. No one's going to stop you. Yeah. It doesn't seem like there's a population issue anymore because so many people died in the Jackpot.
Yeah. They took out their devices behind their ears, right? You see that they're all kind of like stitched up.
Exactly.
And Wilf points out, hey, how are you even going to survive in this toxic atmosphere without that device? Good question. Goes unanswered, but yeah, I feel like there's more to the Neoprims because right now they do not seem to be a compelling group. But there's something else that also is weird about Alita is that I'm not sure if Alita is supposed to be like a protagonist or what, but for Wilf,
no way.
When Wilf talks about Alita, he talks about her very reverential terms like, oh, she saved my life so many times. I owe her everything. We were so close. They show them as kids where she's always taking care of them. But the two times we've seen them interact, the once on the street was kind of like a flashback. And now this time, they don't seem at all like friendly or tight at all, right?
Not at all. And for someone, or at least for Wilf to say that they are as close as they are,
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't he know any of this by now? Like, if you're this close, or if you're as close as Wilf professes them to be, then he should know all about their plans. And in fact, I'll go one step further. I think that would have been a much better twist on the story, is if he's been working for the Klepts as the inside man.
Absolutely right.
As Alita's foil. And they kind of plotting against each other on surface, but in secret, he's actually working with her from inside.
It would have been way better if he would have been the inside person rather than, who's our Irish buzz cut? Ash, right? It would have been a way better match for Wilf to be turning against Lev, because it doesn't show at all why Wilf works for Lev. Doesn't show at all why Wilf and Alita, separated. I mean, she said, I can only be adopted if Wilf comes. Apparently they ran away from their parents. Makes no sense. And Wilf followed. She saved his life once, possibly twice.
Yeah.
And then she just went on, did this mission by herself. It seems impossible that she would have disclosed this mission to Wilf, right? She's clearly the brains. She would have said, hey, Wilf, this is what I want to do. And Wilf would have said, nah, I'm going to work for this Russian oligarch Klep. You do your thing. Let's just go our separate ways. No way. He absolutely would have followed her, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with the greatest of respect to Wilf, but he is... I don't have any negative or positive to Alita because we've seen very little of her and we don't know her motivations. But Wilf, for me, is the weakest part of the story right now.
Oh, yeah. He's got no personality. He's got no motivation.
Nothing. No drive, no actionable anything, nothing like that.
I agree.
The perfect example was when he goes with Flynn to get information from that butcher shop, and he just kind of stands back and watches as Flynn takes care of business. What value add are you bringing to this team?
It would have made a little bit more sense had Alita and Wilf not been adopted by this apparently wealthy family.
Yeah.
It would have made more sense that Wilf was taken in by Lev, right? And he was just like, look, I'm tired of being poor. I need someone to take care of us, to give us, shelter, protection, money, so forth. And, Lev basically recruited, all these street urchins, including Alita and Wilf. Wilf said, hey, let's go. This is what we need. We got to get off the street. We can't keep living like this. Alita said, no way. This is our life. I embrace it. And Alita stayed with all the street people. Wilf, tired of that lifestyle, went with Lev for all the protection and the money and the physical trappings. That would have made more sense in terms of how they split. But it's still not clear at all how Wilf got with Lev, and more, what Lev is offering him that Wilf didn't already have.
Yeah, I mean, just Lev seems like the type of guy who would expect more out of his employees, and Wilf doesn't seem like he would be doing anything that Lev could already be doing with somebody else.
I agree. He's the weakest character so far.
The weakest point in either organization, whether it's for working with Alita, whether it's working for Lev, whether it's working as the romantic foil for Flynn, which, by the way, I am 100%
please, thank you for saying
against.
that. I am 100% against.
I just don't get that chemistry, and
there's no chemistry.
How does this work? They're in a different stub. They're in a different multiverse. She's a robot in his life. And unless they show up some kind of technology where they're able to download her body and her thing, this is like Avatar in that sense. She is basically using technology to portray herself in the skin and body of somebody else.
I agree. It doesn't make any sense. Not only doesn't it make sense, there's absolutely no chemistry between them. Whether that's an actor issue. When I say actor, I mean like in real life, they're just not like getting on.
Yeah.
Or just like the characters that they've assumed are not doing it. But I feel nothing. I don't feel that she's attracted to him at all. I don't really feel that he's attracted to her. Whenever they kind of like hold hands or something, it's more creepy.
It's so weird. It's so weird, and I made a point of it on our watch party, which, by the way, if you guys weren't attending, you've missed out on. But I made a point that over the course of the last 8 episodes, I've seen more chemistry between Flynn and Connor than I have between Flynn and Wilf.
Not only that, Wilf has done nothing for her.
Yeah.
He's kind of like mucked up her life, right? And he's lied to her at least once, notably about her mother's medication. What is the attraction to Wilf? Nothing. He's not smart. He doesn't have any strategy. He's not like this leader. He's not helping. He's not a decision maker. Ugh, I absolutely don't see it.
What they could have done is if Wilf was working on the secret with Alita, when they very first connected in front of the Royal Exchange, she was like, oh, I'm feeling what you feel. Oh, were you drunk last night? I'm feeling a bit hungover. What would have been great is if that was a way for him being, oh, yeah, I was just drunk last night. But secretly what he's done is he's kind of like injected her with pheromones or something like that to manipulate her. Ultimately, he wants to use her as his own personal like robot and whatever. And if that's all manipulative, that would have been more acceptable. But this, I mean, he seems like he's a genuine guy in terms of motivation, which makes all of that relationship nonsense even more jarring.
I have to say, maybe the actor who plays Wilf is a great guy, but the character Wilf just comes across as dumb. Just dumb.
Just terrible.
He doesn't have any motivation. He does kind of what Lev says, even though he seems to be morally against it. He doesn't make any decisions, doesn't have any power. Ugh, he's miserable. Yeah, I'm really disappointed. And that's, I think, one of the warts on the show is what's happening there and Wilf in general. But we started talking about that because we said there's multiple stubs because we thought that Lev created his own stubs, right? So RI has the ability to make stubs. Lev has the ability to make stubs. And even the lady at the Met said, I can make a stub, but it would be a declaration of war. So instead, I'll tell you how to do it, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% clear, to be very honest. And again, this is something that the show has either been willfully ignorant about because it's leading up to it, or because maybe they haven't thought this through in terms of people like Ethan and myself. But it's
to their own detriment.
Super clear who can do what in the future.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's not super clear. My understanding was, up until yesterday, my understanding was that the only people who can create and control stubs was the Research Institute.
I thought the exact same thing.
And then afterwards, now my feeling is perhaps they're the only ones who can create it, but Lev has the technology to access them, which we've seen.
Oh, no.
And yeah, again, and that's my point, is that so there's definitely some interrelationship with this technology between the triumvirate of powers. What that relationship is, we're still not 100% sure.
Were you, I mean, so we learned about the stub ability, right? From what's the lady at the Met?
Inspector Lobier?
Yes. We learned about it from Inspector Lobier, right? So she said, hey, I know where you can do it. And then, of course, like all good filmmaking, she doesn't have to tell us. We just know that she goes there, right? Yeah. So it's kind of this out-of-the-way place, right? It's not in the Research Institute. And it's got one guard. She defeats that one guard, scans his eye. She gets in. Then there's 3 people protecting this. And that's it?
Whatever it is, 5 or 6 people, whatever it is. But you're right.
That's it?
But that is, for me, is believable. I'll tell you why. It's because when you don't want to attract attention to a particular site or building, you don't put a garrison of people in front of it that's important. You put the facade on that it's an unimportant place so that we don't have anyone, right? I mean, the guy who was protecting it and outside looked like he was a gardener. Right? He had a rake with him.
Not bad. Not bad. You're right.
How do I portray to everyone in the rest of the world that this building is so unimportant? I'm not going to put anyone guarding in front of it, even though it's very important.
Well, I can probably get behind that. Okay. So there's something else that I caught that I want to get your take on. Remember when we first learned about the Jackpot?
Yeah.
We learned that the Jackpot had 3 parts. First, there was this global power outage. And then there was like this blood plague. And then the third was the missile silo blew up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't exactly remember which order it was, but yes, those were the 3 major components. Oh, and
yes.
Then I don't remember, but I think there might have been a 4th, and that was the war in Texas, the secession of Texas.
Yeah, like the Civil War.
Yeah, the Civil War.
Now, the only thing they talked about was they kept saying that that Jackpot was being accelerated in Flynn's stub.
Correct.
And that there was something about like the missile silo, right?
Yeah.
So did they jump the order?
Yeah, so that's the thing is I don't know what the appropriate order is. I don't remember what the order was. I'd have to go back to episode 3 or 4 when we first learned of the Jackpot.
That's what I understood, is that the missile silo was the third. It was definitely the blackout first, then the blood plague, and then the missile silo. So now they're only talking about the missile silo.
Yeah, because the missile silo would probably be the most devastating, right? Because it's a nuclear fallout. It's the nuclear missile, and it's basically the fallout is what kind of dominates that place. It could also, actually, maybe it's not even about the order. It could also be the fact that the missile silo is so close to Flynn's hometown. That's what guarantees that Flynn gets eliminated.
But, okay, so I understand. If you're Charisse, now after speaking with Ash, you know that what was stolen by Alita is with Flynn's head, right?
Yep.
It's stolen. Why do you want to kill Flynn?
To prevent Lev from getting it, because Lev understood that Flynn has it in her head too.
So that's what Charisse means about the great cost. She's like, hey, I'm going to have to lose all this tech, but I'm willing to do it to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands.
Exactly.
The wrong hands.
And speaking of, by the way, you raised an excellent point. I'm still not 100% clear what data exactly is inside Flynn's head. And at this point, it's now moot. By the end of this episode, it's moot because she's killed.
Oh, so let's walk through the killing. She says to Connor, hey, kill me. Don't worry, I'm going to open another stub. I'll see you again, right? Connor does it. And then all that data dies with her body. Her brother is going to think Burton's going to think...
Yeah.
No, he's going to think that an assassin killed her, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. But... exactly. In stub 1, and this is, we sent each other notes yesterday. So if the stub that the Flynn we know and talk about is stub 1, in stub 1, Flynn is no longer going to exist because she's been killed by Connor. Whatever that cover story is going to be is irrelevant. I mean,
it's irrelevant, I think, for the future, but I mean, for the people that are surviving her, like her mom,
that's what I mean,
right? They're going to say,
her mom was also only going to live for another 23 days, for example.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is, my theory was that stub 1 is now saved because there's no purpose in accelerating the Jackpot because Flynn is no longer alive.
So you're saying Charisse is going to look into her crystal ball and be like, damn, someone killed Flynn. And she's going to say, well, wait a second. It wasn't me.
I agree, it wasn't her, but my point is
say,
why
wait a second.
Destroy a stub that you can still do valuable research in if you don't have to?
That's a big assumption by Flynn, though, right?
It is, but I think that at the end of the day, the point of the whole point of the stubs, and everyone knows, is that they can continue to do research there.
But hold on, would Flynn care if Charisse is like, nah, just to be on the safe side, I'm still going to wipe out that stub?
So that's the risk, right?
Can anyone stop that missile silo?
So I think this is what we're going to start to see in season 2 onwards. Yeah. Because the Flynn that gets created in the second stub is going after Charisse.
But also Connor and Burton probably have to go stop that missile silo in their current stub, right?
Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. My expectation is that season 2 is going to pick up with the Flynn that we know from Stub 2, with all the access to all the information she's had from Stub 1, but now in Stub 2.
Right.
And she's going to go
except
after
the bacteria in her brain. That's gone, we think.
That should
know.
be gone.
We
exactly.
don't know, but it should be gone.
It should be gone. Exactly.
Okay.
Maybe not, by the way.
I mean, it's not a logical argument. It's whatever the show decides, right? I mean, we
Correct.
can argue it either way.
Correct.
It's not based on biology.
I think it would be all the more interesting if it weren't. If she created that copy after she got the virus downloaded in her brain.
Yeah.
I think it would make for a more interesting thing, because all of a sudden then Charisse has, let's say, leverage, because she'll say, fine, I will destroy Stub 1 unless you give me that data.
Right.
So it just becomes another point of leverage. It's another point of conflict.
So in Stub 2, okay, we don't know when Stub 2 is going to begin. It could begin earlier.
2032. We know that it begins in 2032, but we don't know. Yeah, because we see it on the little. So I watched it on the display screen when she's creating the stub in that base.
Oh, Pete!
It said
God
2032.
blessed. Good for you.
That's why I said that the Flynn in Stub 2 is going to know all this information, because Stub 1 was created at least no later than 2028, when they had the war in Texas, because we see the flashback of Connor getting exploded by the dog.
Yeah.
And then in the episode before that, we saw...
So hold on.
Yeah.
Now, in the new stub, what are you calling this new stub? The 2030? Okay, Stub 2.
Stub 2, yeah.
Right? So everything, in theory, kind of like copy and pastes over, right?
Right.
Burton's just going on to live his life, and he's living with this other Flynn, right?
Yeah, it's like a control copy, control paste.
Okay.
Point.
What are they doing for the next 4 years? Or it's just kind of
what 4
have they?
years?
I mean, between 2028 and 2032.
Oh, I think it's exactly the same. I think up until 2032,
yeah,
that Stub 2 is exactly the same as Stub 1. So nothing has changed. The mother is still dying. She may still have the virus in her. That's what I was saying by I don't know at which point they've copied up until. But my point is that whatever Stub 1 was copied into Stub 2. Status quo was exactly the same. The only difference is Charisse can no longer access Stub 2 because she doesn't have the coordinates for Stub 2.
I get the coordinates. I mean, I'll go with that. But I'm still not clear. So Burton, I don't know where Burton is, right? Burton gets home in 2028, right? His mother has 28 days to live, right?
No, they're in 2032 right now.
Yeah, but how do you get from 2028 to 2032? What happened?
No, but the present is 2032. They're not in 2028 when we're watching the show. They're in 2032. 2028 is when Connor and Burton get attacked in Texas.
I see. So she made it the same year.
Exactly.
The same date.
That's what I'm saying. It was like, that's what I meant by Control C, Control V. It was like quick save in a video game.
I got it. I understand. Okay. I thought they were in 2028. Fine. So there's no 4-year gap. So they go from 2032 to 2032. Whatever happens in the original stub
is copied in Stub 2. So it's exactly the same.
Yes. And we think that logically Charisse will not now go through and terminate that timeline.
Correct. Or let's put it this way. We don't know if she will, but she no longer has a reason to, is the point I'm making.
So if she decided not to, what would happen would be Burton would know that Flynn was killed by
whatever
someone,
it is. Exactly.
And his mom would die 23 days later.
Exactly.
And then he would ever pick up the headset again and travel to the future? Or he would just kind of be like...
Guess what? That makes for some phenomenally fun conflicts in season 2, 3, and beyond, right? Where you have a Burton from Stub 1 going back to the future to avenge Flynn, only to find Flynn alive and to find a second version of Burton from Stub 2.
Yes.
And a second version of Connor from Stub 2.
Yes.
And then What if Charisse then says, these are the people that killed them, and then it becomes Connor Stubb 1 versus Connor Stubb 2, Burton Stubb 1 versus Burton Stubb 2.
Yeah.
It becomes great.
Because you have to imagine, if you're Burton, okay, your sister's taken out, your mom dies, you're absolutely going to put the headset on. You're not just going to be like, well, I guess I'll just... I'm going after Wilf. I'm going after Lev, and I don't care what happens. I am going after them. So then every time you have a Stubb, in theory, you multiply your enemies. So if that's the case, then wouldn't Charisse be right then to continue to terminate that Stubb? She's like, hey, I don't need 2 Burtons after me.
Which is why I'm saying what becomes... So, 1, I don't think that they can create any more Stubbs because she destroyed the little pocket watch.
That's right.
And 2, I think the other thing is that it gives Charisse an opportunity to manipulate the Burton from Stubb 1 to work for her.
Do you think Flynn is right not to tell Burton a plan then?
Yeah, because Burton would never allow it, right? Or, well, Burton would have, like, it would just create not unnecessary, it would create more drama that would not really solve the problem. That's why she goes to Connor, because Connor, I think, is the more pragmatic of the two, which is, hey, if this is what the mission needs, this is what the mission needs. And I think he only appreciates that because Burton tried to warn him about the dog in 28.
Yeah.
He disregarded that order, and he gets blown up by this dog, which was an obvious plant. And then I think he understands, like, this is how you restart and reset your sim.
Yeah. I mean, Connor also has his own selfish motivations where he clearly wants to be a full-time sim, right?
Yes.
Like, he wants to be comatose, being fed with an IV.
Yep.
Okay. Other plot issues that you have about this show? Or where do you see it going in season 2?
Not many plot issues at this point. I mean, the advantage to any show that has time travel in it is that you can kind of dance around any plot holes. I'm not saying that it's easy, but, you can always come up with some piece of technology or something like that. I mean, that was the whole point of this downloading of the thing that becomes a virus in her brain, right?
Yeah.
It sounds so stupid that data was translated as DNA and then inserted into her brain. But that's the tech, that was basically the MacGuffin that they created to do that.
I mean, what did you think of that mid-credits scene? I've been thinking about that quite a lot.
Okay.
What I was wondering if that took place in the past. Because remember, they told that triumvirate of, I don't know what they are, I guess like the CLEP board of directors. They kind of told Lev, hey, go ahead and do what you're going to do, but just make sure like you burn all the evidence, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that took place in advance of all of season 1? And he's then took that to heart, and that's why he killed all his selves?
No, I think those things are unrelated. I think he killed himself, all the versions of himself in the multiverse because he's an egomaniac and a sociopath. 1. 2, I think that happened after the events of season 1, the meeting with the Kleps. And I think that sets us up for season 2, where in season 1, the Kleps were like a quasi-ally for Flynn. Not an antagonist. They weren't sharing all the information, but they weren't going against them either, right? They were still helping each other. I think this sets us up in season 2 for now the Kleps being the bad guys. Of the 3 organizations, the Research Institute has always been posed as the antagonist. The Kleps were always posed as the allies. And the Met were kind of like this third party that came in that was very powerful. I think now what happens is the Research Institute, Charisse still has to go as far as Flynn is concerned, but I think to save his own skin in the present timeline, we're going to see Lev try to go after Flynn and her compatriots, and that's where the Kleps are going to become the bad guys in season 2, or 3, or whatever it's going to be.
I mean, maybe we need to rethink who is the good guy and the bad guy, because I'm really fuzzy about the motivations of everyone, right? The club seems to have just a purely financial motivation. They're creating stubs, doing testing, trying to find a way to monetize the stubs, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
RI to me is really, really fuzzy. And had Charisse not killed that one lady, the scientist doctor with the bees, and had she not kind of killed Daniel, you could kind of make the argument that the RI is the good guy.
Really?
Apart from those two events, what has RI done that's bad?
Well, except for the murders, but they're also an extremely unethical corporation, right?
Where? Give me an example. What story?
Well, they're creating the stubs, and then they are experimenting on real live people for their own benefit. That crosses a lot of gray lines, right? Like not just gray. It's one thing if you were experimenting in simulations that were not real on a computer, but those people are real people.
I mean, that's a very crazy question, right? Which is, I feel like if you're defending if you're defending the RI, you say, how are these real people? What's the past? The past has already happened. If we're doing an experiment on the past, by definition, they're not real people. The real people are here and now. Life is not a time loop where there's a Pete in 2022, a Pete in 2021, a Pete in 2020, a Pete in 2019. Like, life doesn't loop. We lived life. We have the ability to go back. That's a simulation. If you wanted to defend the RI.
Within the same timeline. I would agree with that argument if you said that we're just talking about the prime timeline. But because now you're talking about a multiverse and you're talking about other timelines and other stubs, there are real people in those stubs. They're real, And this is what I like about the show, by the way. That is a highly philosophical debate.
Yeah.
This is not...
What's real? What is real?
What is real? What constitutes a real person? What constitutes a simulation? You're absolutely right when you say that the RI would justify it to themselves by saying it's not real. And this is what we saw, right, with Alita with her ex-girlfriend in that flashback sequence. That girlfriend who was killed by the bees later believes that it doesn't matter because it's not our universe. It's not our timeline. So who gives a damn what happens to these people? Whereas Alita takes the stance that I'm kind of taking, which is, it may not be our life, it may not be our timeline, but those are real people. And if you're experimenting on them, it becomes a slippery slope. What's to stop you from starting to experiment on our own people in our own timeline? Yeah, it is not I don't think that's a conversation that you nor I are either equipped or maybe prepared to discuss or have this philosophical debate about. But fundamentally,
so that's why you think. But that's why you think RI is bad.
Yes, and that is where I stand.
Met we think is neutral.
Yeah, at the moment at least. Yeah, they're playing both sides. Yeah. They're happy to play both sides.
And the club is just profit-driven.
Profit-driven, which is, and again, we knew instinctively that we weren't being told everything, but we didn't think that they were actually doing anything bad per se. I think that's going to change in season 2. I think the Klept very quickly, because Lev is going to want to try to clean up not the mistakes, but, any evidence that he's been doing all this kind of tomfoolery. And the best way to clean that up is by eliminating everyone. I think that's when we're going to start to see some very questionable, let's say, decisions from him.
Do you think that Lev has the most inept group of henchmen ever? Ocean and what's the other lady? Ash and Wilf. Can you imagine 3 more useless people?
Honestly.
Ash is secretly a neoprim, right? Ocean is entirely useless.
Yeah. Look, the problem is that Ash and Ocean are interested in self-preservation at all costs.
Yeah.
Even if that means betraying their boss. And Wilf is, the guy could be replaced with a cardboard cutout of himself and he would be equally effective.
Equally effective. But I'm not sure. Is Ash's motivation really... It seems Ocean is only like, hey, whatever it takes. I just want to live. Ash, like, she was the person that tried to undermine Lev, right?
Yeah, but only because they attacked her. I mean, I guess they're a couple. I mean, I don't know what it is.
I don't know either. It's weird. I'm excited. When is season 2 coming?
So season 2 has not been confirmed. That's
What?
the crazy thing, is that
It hasn't
Amazon
even been...
hasn't
Man.
confirmed anything. So I was trying
how
to...
have the ratings been?
Also unconfirmed. I've been looking, after we saw the finale yesterday, I've been looking. I can't find anything on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
I always thought this was Jonathan Nolan. It's not Nolan at all, is it?
Is it? I don't know.
Jonathan Nolan is an executive producer.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I mean, it's an executive producer. I'm looking forward to season 2. I really hope this show does well enough to warrant a season 2. Production design was excellent. I thought the overall design of the show, I think, is pretty good.
I think it's
From
great.
the get-go, I think
Yeah.
the depiction of the future has been pretty good.
I agree.
The far future and even the near future.
Yeah.
I like that we're not set in like a bustling town or city like New York or something like that. I like that we're in,
North Carolina.
because it allows us to focus on the individual characters and not the city. We don't get any noise from that. So I think that's great. I think that's absolutely great.
Do you think, I mean, if we've talked all about the folks in the future, right? The RI and the Met and Lev, Clep, Wilf. We haven't talked about the present, right? We haven't talked about
Tommy. We haven't talked about the gangster, the
Dee
boss,
Dee.
the mob boss.
Yeah.
So the problem with these guys is that at least on the bad guy side, they're all just pawns at the moment, right? Corbell Pickett and all these guys are just...
Jasper.
All of these guys are basically just pawns. I agree with you. I think there's more to Dee Dee than we know. We just haven't seen what it is. And Tommy also, by the way, this is not... he's better than Wilf in terms of that chemistry with Flynn. I'm not seeing anything where... except for the fact that they've told us she's had a crush on him since before high school. I don't see why they would want to be in a relationship with each other.
I agree. I mean, Tommy's married to Dee Dee, but there's something there's something strange about Dee Dee. I'm still not sold that she's not.
And maybe there's more to it. Maybe there isn't. Again, her character is so neutral at this point that perhaps there's more to the story with her. Perhaps there isn't. If there isn't, I won't be disappointed. If there is, I won't be surprised.
Yeah, but it seems like there's going to be more in the present. Like the present somehow has to have more relevance to what's going on in the future, right? And I thought that's one of the great things about the show is how it bifurcates between the drama in 2028, the drama, in the future.
Yeah.
So I mean, that seems to always need to be a tension.
Yeah.
So it's not even confirmed for a season 2?
Unfortunately not.
Man. I mean, if you just walk it like in terms of the timeline, even if they confirm it, they say, hey, season finale came out yesterday, widely watched, boom, let's do a season 2. They're not going to film that until 2020, end of 2023.
Yeah. That for me is one of the weakest things about these streaming platforms is that they decide so late when to renew and don't renew. Very rarely do you get orders which are like, we're going to order it straight to series for multiple seasons and only for very established IPs like Lord of the Rings, for example.
Ugh, it's going to be a tough wait. I mean, my instinct is that it gets renewed only because Amazon is so starved for content. They don't really have... I don't know what their lineup is, but I would hope that it did well and it's going to be renewed. It'd be a pity if it's not.
It would be a huge pity if it's not. But having said that, I think this show also has the potential to be an Expanse style thing, which is we're going to make a few seasons, we're going to cancel it, and then somebody else is going to pick it up.
Yeah, but Amazon picked up The Expanse, right?
Yeah, but Amazon picked that up from Sci-Fi.
Yeah. But I mean, Amazon.
What I'm saying is, if Amazon if Amazon decides season 2
someone else will pick it up. Yeah,
maybe Netflix will pick it up, and maybe Apple TV will. I don't know if they will, but what I'm saying is that there are other platforms out there that theoretically could. Yeah,
that's tough. It's tough to go down. I mean, to use the word stream, it's tough to go downstream. Right? I mean, everyone's got to kind of take a budget cut, including actors. Like, it's tough to keep everybody on board. It's easy to keep everyone on board saying, hey, good news, everybody. Stay with us. We're going to Amazon. It's going to be great. It's tough to say to everybody, all right, stay with us. We're going to Sci-Fi, right?
Or Quibi or something like that. Yeah.
Budget
I get it. But it's a lateral move to go from Amazon to Apple or Apple to Amazon to Netflix. That's fine. And I think the advantage that all these other shows will have is that it's an established world at this point in the viewers' minds. So they don't have to spend their first season spending money to establish an IP.
Yeah.
It's always that first season, you always spend more money just establishing the IP. Of course, each season gets more expensive, but not in terms of establishment.
I sincerely hope that they pick it up for a second season. I feel like this has 3 or 4 years of legs on it. Not much more than that. Okay, so
for Pete Mitchell, Films and Stuff, I give it a must subscribe to Amazon Prime.
I absolutely give it the same. This is a must subscribe. Please, everybody, go to Amazon Prime. I have not said this, I think, on much about Amazon Prime. The Peripheral is exceptional. You will not regret it. If you love sci-fi, if you love things that make you think, this will be a show that you will really, really enjoy and appreciate.
I think that's exactly the right way to think about it. If you look at all the shows that we've, given a combined must subscribe to, all of them aren't just good shows. They're shows that make us talk to each other once the show stops airing. We're always interested in not just discussing what happened on that episode, but where we see it going. And I think that is the hallmark of what makes a show really valuable.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Well said, Pete. We talked about this for an hour. We could probably go for an hour more, but I think once season 2 starts, that's where it really gets interesting, because then you at least know the direction they're going to go, and a lot of questions will be answered and a lot more will be raised.
Indeed.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us, Films and Stuff. And for our watch parties, we're going to have to choose another series to do watch parties for.
That's right. So we're coming up to the end of the year. We probably won't be doing any specific watch parties until January or so. But if you have any recommendations for a watch party that you would like to do, let us know. Comment below this video. Send us a tweet at F&S Podcast. Drop us a DM on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast. Or if you want, email us aloha at filmsandstuffpodcast.com.
We will be here awaiting your recommendations so that we can do a watch party. They're super fun.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much.
Pete, thank you as always. Listeners, thank you as always. Have a great week ahead. We'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.